Hello, hello, and welcome to Leading Up, where we talk about the most important things for leaders these days. And today, we're going to talk about how to create connection in a disconnected world. New and alarming research from BYU reveals that loneliness kills more people than obesity. We are here to move the needle today. This is about creating connection in a disconnected world. This is Leading Up. So let's talk about how to create connection and what you can do as a leader in order to create connection when your team may be hybrid or on-site, busy on their computers, or completely virtual and remote. How do you do this? How do you build relationships in today's world? There has never been a time in history where people craved connection more than today. And it's your moral responsibility as a leader to make sure to build a culture where people feel connected, where the team feels connected, not only to each other and to you, but they also need to feel connected to a cause. They need to feel connected to something. There's a lot of talk in the world of leadership about how to create motivation, how to create engagement, how to get people to go the extra mile. But if you know as a leader that there's nothing that people crave today more than a sense of connection to a community, to a cause, to a person, to something in such a disconnected world, that should be at the top of your priorities. That should be at the top of your strategies in order to create the team of your dreams, the team that you want, the group of people that will feel connected, motivated, and engaged to the goals of the team. So how do you actually do that? There are some skills that you know as a person that you need to bring back to the surface. We all know how to be people, how to be a person, but sometimes in today's digital world, people forget. Let me give you a few things that you need to focus on right now in order to create a sense of connection in your team, to your team members in the disconnected world that we live in. The first thing you need to do is put the phone away, put the laptop away, move away from the computer when someone talks to you. There is incredible power in being present, because when you are actually present with the other person, when you look them in the eye, when you actually fully listen to what they communicate to you, you basically non-verbally communicate to them, you matter to me. And at that moment, magic happens, because at that moment, you also matter to them and a connection is formed. You basically tell them non-verbally, just by making the time to be present, that they matter to you very much. And nothing creates more connection than someone who actually thinks that you're so important to them that you're going to put everything away and be completely present. So I know that you have so much to do and you think that you can communicate with someone and actually do something else at the same time, and you may be thinking that it's completely okay. But not only that you're communicating to them that they're not important enough for you to put your phone away or your computer away, but you're also missing out on a lot of connection opportunities. You're missing out on a lot of nonverbal cues. When you actually make the time to be completely present, you pick up on a lot of things. Facial expressions, tone of voice, a lot of important information that you can later refer back to. When people communicate with you, make sure, in order to create connection, that you remember important information. And you know what? If you have to go back later to your office and take some notes, that's okay. But if they tell you about their dog, remember the dog's name. If they tell you about their kids, remember the names, remember what they're telling you. If they tell you that there's an important date coming up, it's okay if you write it down on your phone and refer to it later. Every time someone tells you something that they really care about, that is very important for them, and you make it a point to remember what they told you, you communicate to them how much they matter to you, and you create a connection.
It is crucial that you listen, Dwight. Are you listening now?
Yes.
Okay, well, you have to show us.
That's impossible.
Uh-huh.
What are you doing?
A little smile and a nod shows that I hear you. Got it?
Kind of.
We were talking about the colour schemes and the major themes we want to hit. Children of the world coming together.
It's just up and down. Just a regular knot, like a person.
I am a person.
Another great thing that you can do as a leader is ask questions. Sometimes you get so busy as a leader that you just don't get to ask not just general questions of how are you or how was your weekend, but the more you listen to what your team member is communicating to you, and that may be someone else in your life as well, the more you're there, the more you listen, the more you can pick up on real questions that you want to ask them that will show how invested you are in what they're communicating to you and how important they are to you. And when you ask questions, you can also share information on your end. Share things that will make you vulnerable or share things that you think are interesting or funny. And by that, you're also inviting them to share things with you. People crave connection. We are surrounded by other people that don't make the time to be there, to be present, to be a person. You may be the only person in someone's day that day that took the time to be, to listen, to ask questions, to remember important information. And by doing that, you created connection, you built trust, and you built a relationship. In my keynotes, I bring people to the stage to share one thing that they pledge to change in their lives and then get really granular on their planning. And so many people come to the stage and say, I'm going to be more present with my kids. I'm going to be more present with my team. I'm putting the phone away. I am making the time to be present. And I hear that all the time. Make it a priority to be present. Make it a priority to actually be and listen. And it's going to communicate to the other people how much you care about them. Another very important thing for you as a leader, when someone comes to you with a problem and they are sharing their problem with you, a common mistake for leaders to make is to solve their problem for them. But to create real connection, you need to train yourself that when someone comes to you with a problem, you just listen and empower, because solving their problem for them, you're solving the problem in the short term, but you're actually communicating to them, listen, you're not so capable, so let me solve your problem for you. And it's disengaging, it doesn't create connection, and it doesn't empower the other person to be their very best. It's hard, it's super hard to hear about a problem that someone else is having in your team or in your life, and you know what they need to do and hold your tongue and not say anything. But this is exactly what you need to do, because by empowering the other person to find the strength in them to solve their own problem, you are creating a connection, you are building a relationship, and you are empowering the other person to be their very best, which is your role as a leader. When it comes to working with clients who are remote, I get asked all the time, how do I build relationships with clients who are not next to me, that I can't take out for dinner? Especially in sales, I get asked that all the time at conferences and at events. How do I create the same connection with a client now that I can't take them out for drinks or for dinner or all the things that I used to do in the past to create connection? You have to remember all the time that your client is dealing with a lot. They have a lot of things on their plate. They have a lot of things they're dealing with. And the best way for you to create connection is to, number one, show them that you care, remember important information. Number two, be extremely helpful to them. Make the process of whatever it is that you're trying to sell or whatever service you are connecting with them about, make it as easy for them to digest as possible. The easier it is for them, the better service provider you are. You make their lives easier, you make their lives better, so of course they're going to want to work with you. And the third thing you need to do is be consistent, because to create connection, you need to be consistent in how you communicate with the other person. If you said you're going to call, you need to call. If you said you'll send an email, send an email. Especially in a remote kind of relationship, in a remote kind of connection, consistency and being helpful is extremely important for building trust. Here's a question I got here. Hi, Dr. Michelle. I'm leading a small team that I see in person just a few times a year. Everything is ran remotely through apps, video calls, etc. And I feel that I'm having a hard time connecting with them. And worst of all, that they are not connecting to each other. How can I do better as a leader to my team when we only meet on video? So one of the elements that is really missing from virtual communication is the informal communication, because to create connection, you can't just be on plan at a meeting doing the things you need to do. You're going to do well for that meeting, but what really builds relationships is the informal communication, the informal back and forth where people just talk to each other and where people are just people. So however you plan your week, make sure to leave time also for some informal communication where people just get to be curious about each other, joke with each other, laugh with each other, tease each other, and make the time to be people and connect. Hi, Dr. Michelle. I'm struggling with leading my hybrid team, especially when it comes to having difficult conversations. What I mean specifically is providing feedback that is not great. What is the best way for me to handle it, and what can I do? Well, when it comes to having difficult conversations, it's difficult anyway. It's also difficult face to face. But what you need to do is through the hybrid environment. So when you meet them in person or when you communicate with them virtually, the basis of giving productive feedback is building trust. And how do you build trust? You build trust by communicating to your team member that you are there to support them. You are all about their success. And in everything that you do, you are there to build them up. When you know that someone is there to support you, that the leader is there for your success, that they want you to succeed, and that they'll do whatever they can in order to support you to succeed, you are going to have that relationship that will allow for when the feedback comes in and there's something that needs to be worked on, you know it's coming from a place of building you up. There are no specific words to feedback, and I get asked that all the time. What can I say? How exactly do I say it? It doesn't matter how you deliver your feedback. What matters is how do you build the relationship up to that point? If the other person knows that you are there for them consistently and that when they succeed, you celebrate. And when you give feedback, it comes from a place of building and not destroying. They are going to listen to it. They're going to be receptive for it, and it's going to work. So glad you were here today on this episode of Leading Up. Today we talked about how to create connection in a disconnected world. So much of it is in your hands, the leader. It's in your hands to create connection, to build relationships, and to build a culture where people feel connected, appreciated, validated, and listened to. If there's anything that you've done that worked for you as a leader or in life in order to create connection, drop a comment below, share it with all of us. And in the meantime, start implementing everything that we talked about today. So much of creating connection is in your hands. We are here to move the needle today. This is Leading Up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell to keep up with all the new videos. Also, click on the link to watch another video.